been kidnapped, and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now.
3 men have been arrested in this case, and they are Ariel Castro, 52 years old, her brother Pedro, 54 years old, and another brother O'Neill, 50 years old.
The real hero here is Amanda. I mean, she is the real hero. I mean, she's the one that got this rolling. You know, we're following her lead. Without her, none of us would be here today.
And the families of these 3 young ladies never gave up hope, and neither did law enforcement. As you can imagine, words can't describe the emotions being felt by all. Yes, law enforcement professionals do cry. We rejoice with those families in the homecoming of Amanda, Gina, and Michelle.
It's not cold.
Stunning news out of Ohio. 3 women found alive after a decade or more in captivity. We want to explain how this investigation is going to unfold. There's a lot of information, details coming out, and so we're just going to report on what we know so far. But what you've seen so far is law enforcement at the residence. They're going through the house. They're going to do a lot of forensic evidence collection to see if anybody else was kept there, how many people, who knew about it, if there's any accomplices, who actually was with these women at the time. You know, Eric, right now, the main concern is going to be talking to these women and trying to, in an appropriate, like therapeutic way, get information, talk to them to see what happened.
You know, and the speculation has been, at least even around this table, whether or not this is just 3 guys taking 3 women and doing whatever they're doing with them for the last 10 years, or if it's bigger, if there's other things going on. I noticed that the police brought the cadaver dogs out today. They're searching the areas, or they're seeing if there are...
They're looking for other...
What are they looking for?
Yeah, and you can see pictures right now in terms of what they're doing with the crime scene. You see it all taped off. So they're going to see, was there anybody else that was held there over the years? Are there any other missing women or children from that area, that vicinity? So they're going to work with other agencies to see if they can put any details together, because this is unusual that they have 3 women that have been kept and then a child.
What is it about the FBI? Kidnapping is a federal offense if you cross state lines,
Right.
and yet this FBI guy leaves the impression that they were involved in this investigation for the last 10 years. How does that gel?
Well, because potentially they had information of someone being transported over state lines. They also may have considered whether or not other people were abducted or missing. So anytime you have a situation like this, the FBI is going to come in. They also have invaluable resources in terms of their ability to do forensic analysis, testing, and put a good significant amount of manpower and attention to detail, especially in a case like this.
But that's, I guess the thing is when the FBI says, we never gave up hope, well, that didn't help. If it wasn't for a guy that came by for 10 years, he came by and he saw that the neighbors saw what was going on, the FBI wasn't there. And the thing is, people talk about, and we'll bring up the Stockholm Syndrome. The reason why people hang with their captors is because they grow to like them or they become brainwashed. That doesn't absolve, in my mind, the police, the FBI, or the community that allowed a torture chamber or whatever this thing is going on for 10 years under their noses. Not too far from where these people disappeared, these 3 women disappeared. I just think that it's weird.
What's remarkable is that Amanda Berry is the one who didn't give up hope.
Yeah,
she's the hero.
Her spirit was alive and strong. Kimberly, what kind of punishment would these guys face if they're convicted?
Okay, for sure you're going to be looking at life without possibility of parole, because what they're going to do is aggregate the charges and stack them, and it'll make a request that these charges run consecutively, so they're never going to be able to get out, because just on a basic, kidnapping case and what's happened, what so far we're getting alleged, well, they're alive, unless, Greg, based on the cadaver searches, they're able to find out if anything else happened there. Were there any other children? Was there any kind of other criminal activity that went on? Perhaps they are going to find bodies. We don't know yet.
You know who else you can call out here? You can call the community, the neighborhood. I mean, there are 10. Think about this: 3 girls abducted within 3 years in the same area, a couple of miles away. For me, everyone's a suspect.
Right. They could have done that thing like they did in Boston. You meant that grid search? Where they went house by house.
Well, this was definitely within the grid, Dana.
Yeah.
You make up a
What celebrity lawyer is going to come forward and offer to defend these guys? I want to know that.
Crimes against children.
Let me ask you a question, too.
Yeah, I want to play the uncle. Go ahead.
Do you believe, I've prosecuted a number of cases, been around the police a lot, do you really buy into the story that they've kept this case alive for 10 years?
It's remained an active case, but a cold case. I'm sure they were still collecting, tips on a line, that type of thing. But you have to turn your attention to other cases, and sadly, that these cases get
Three women
forgotten
in one area.
But they didn't put it together. Can we listen really quickly to the uncle of the suspected kidnappers? This is Julio Castro. This gives you an idea at home. How come nobody saw anything? What about the relatives? Listen to Julio.
I feel terrible because it's my family. And we're from a big family, and we never thought that something like this could happen within our family. Those girls never show their face to anybody, to no one. I don't know how he kept them all these years. It's unbelievable.
How can you be a close family? How can you be a close family and not know that we're shocked by this? How can that be?
We're so close. You're never allowed into my house.
Exactly. I mean, they have an ex-wife. They have a Remember on Facebook, the guy said he was happy that he had 5 grandkids.
Yeah.
It's
I wonder if that was one of them.
Bowling, Bob,
his own grandkid.
No, I was just going to say, people had to be in and out of that house. They had to be. I mean, if you got a family that big, and what did the guy do to bar the door? What about the brother?
Can I ask you a dumb question very quickly? Can you have a baby and never see a doctor? And can that baby grow?
J.C. Dugard, right? That happened to her.
J.C. Dugard, and there was a number of children from a man in Germany that abducted a child.
Most women around the world actually give birth without a doctor.
Is that a charge? Isn't that harm? Potential harm?
Well, there's a number of charges. That's going to be one of the lesser ones, given the fact of what they're looking at, and so far with the evidence that's coming in.
Danger.
So much more on this story. Greg? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, you go to the dentist twice a year. 10 years. You go. There's got to be a moment
also,
where you have to see somebody.
And he wasn't feeding them. But one of the we heard the one woman say that she was in good health, but she was thin. The other people that first said that they were in malnutrition. So how much food was he bringing into the house? If he's just a single guy living there, why does he need all those groceries? Or maybe he didn't buy groceries.
All things that
then we should
nosy neighbors like us might pay attention to. I don't know. I think a lot of people in the community are very shocked, and I'm glad that man came forward. And Amanda Berry's the real hero here because she saved the lives of those other girls that were kept. So thank God she didn't give up hope. Coming up.